The Grand Blackwood Hotel stood atop Widow's Hill, a beacon of faded elegance, now just an empty shell, consumed by time and shrouded in unsettling tales. Locals whispered of its dark past. Guests vanished without a trace. Unexplained noises echoed in the dead of night. It was a place where the veil between our world and the next felt thin, perilously thin. This is the story of one terrifying night. A night that unfolded within those decaying walls. A night I will never forget. The old concierge greeted us. His eyes were vacant, soulless.
Room 303. No one has stayed there in years.
A chill ran down my spine. The elevator creaked and groaned. Each floor grew colder, darker, more oppressive. We reached our floor. The air was heavy, suffocating. Our room was at the end of a long, desolate hallway. The only sound was the distant dripping of water, a steady, rhythmic drip that echoed through the empty corridor. The room was freezing, the musty air hung heavy. We tried to ignore the feeling of dread, tried to rationalize the whispers we heard, coming from the walls.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it sounded like a child's laughter.
The temperature dropped. Our breath formed clouds in the air. We heard a child's laughter, faint, yet unmistakable. There was no one there. We tried to sleep. The laughter returned, louder this time, accompanied by the sound of small footsteps, running back and forth, just outside our door. Suddenly, the closet door swung open. It was as if an invisible force had pushed it with great urgency, making the hinges creak loudly in the otherwise silent room. The darkness inside the closet seemed to deepen, drawing our eyes to its mysterious depths. A white dress floated out, ethereal and shimmering. It moved with a grace that defied the laws of physics, as if it were being worn by an invisible entity. The fabric glowed faintly, casting a soft light that illuminated the surrounding darkness. It hovered in the air, then vanished. One moment it was there, and the next, it was gone, leaving us questioning our own senses. The air where it had been felt colder, as if the dress had taken the warmth with it. We were paralyzed with fear. Our bodies refused to move, our minds racing with a mixture of disbelief and terror. The room seemed to close in around us, the walls pressing in as our hearts pounded in our chests.
Did you see that? The question hung in the air, a desperate attempt to confirm the reality of what we had just witnessed. Our eyes darted around the room, searching for any sign of the apparition.
Yeah, I did. What was that? The words were barely a whisper, filled with a mix of awe and dread. We both knew that what we had seen was not of this world.
We both saw her then, a woman in a white gown. She stood there, her presence commanding the room. Her dress flowed around her like mist, and her eyes, though obscured, seemed to pierce through the darkness. Her face was obscured by shadows. It was as if the darkness itself was protecting her identity, adding to the enigma of her presence. We could feel her gaze, even though we couldn't see her eyes. She glided across the room. Her movements were fluid and silent, like a whisper in the night. The air around her seemed to ripple, distorting the space as she moved, then faded into the wall. The room felt electric. The very air seemed to buzz with an unseen energy, making the hairs on the back of our necks stand on end. It was as if the room itself was alive, reacting to her presence, charged with an unseen energy. The lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. Every creak and groan of the old house seemed amplified, adding to the sense of impending doom. We knew we were in the presence of something ancient and powerful. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, and we could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching us. Something not of this world. The very fabric of reality seemed to thin, and we felt as if we were standing on the edge of two worlds, the living and the dead.
You should not have come here. The voice was barely audible, a whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It was a warning, a plea, and a threat all at once.
Her voice echoed in our minds, chilling us to the core. It was a sound that would haunt us long after we left that place, a reminder of the night we encountered the lady in white.
We huddled together, too terrified to move.
The temperature plummeted, ice formed on the windows.
The laughter returned, echoing all around us.
The lights flickered, then died. We were plunged into darkness.
We heard her voice, a mournful whisper.
Get out while you still can.
The door slammed shut. We were trapped. The room felt like it was closing in on us. We were surrounded by unseen forces.
We fumbled for the door, our hands shaking. The doorknob wouldn't turn. It was as if something was holding it shut.
We were prisoners in our own nightmare.
Then, as quickly as it began, it stopped. The laughter ceased. The temperature returned to normal. The only sound was our own ragged breathing.
We didn't hesitate. We threw open the door and ran, down the hallway, down the stairs, never looking back, desperate to escape the horrors of room 303. We stumbled out into the night, gasping for air, our hearts pounding in our chests. We had never experienced anything like it. We knew we had to find out what we had encountered.
We returned to the lobby, demanded answers from the old concierge. He just stared at us, a knowing smirk on his face. "Hotel manager, I warned you."
He told us the story. The tragic tale of a young woman named Eliza. She had been a guest at the hotel. She had been murdered in room 303. Her spirit, he said, still haunted the room, seeking revenge. Section 8. A History of Tragedy. This chapter delves into the sorrowful tale of Eliza, a woman whose life was cut tragically short within the walls of this very hotel. Eliza was a beautiful woman known for her grace and charm. Her beauty was the talk of the town, and many admired her from afar. With long, flowing black hair and piercing blue eyes, she captivated everyone who met her. Her eyes, a deep shade of blue, seemed to hold 1,000 untold stories. She had come to the hotel with her new husband, full of hope and dreams for their future together. They had just been married, and were looking forward to a blissful honeymoon. They were supposed to be celebrating their honeymoon, a time of joy and love. The hotel, with its grand architecture and luxurious rooms, seemed like the perfect place to start their new life. But her husband was a cruel man, hiding his true nature behind a charming facade. His temper was volatile, and it didn't take long for his darker side to emerge. He gambled away all their money, spending nights at the casino tables, driven by a reckless addiction. Each loss only fueled his anger and frustration. Then, in a fit of rage, he strangled Eliza. The hotel room, once a place of love and dreams, became a scene of horror and despair. He hid her body in the walls of room 303, hoping to conceal his heinous crime. The walls, now a silent witness to the tragedy, held her secret for years. Her spirit, unable to find peace, remained trapped within the confines of the hotel. The once vibrant Eliza was now a restless ghost, bound to the place of her untimely demise. Over the years, many guests had reported strange occurrences in room 303. The room became infamous, drawing the curious and the brave. Cold spots, whispers. Guests would feel an eerie chill, as if an unseen presence was watching them. Soft whispers would fill the room, sending shivers down their spines. The scent of lavender perfume, Eliza's favorite, would often linger in the air. It was as if she was still there, her presence marked by the fragrance she loved. Some had even claimed to have seen her ghost, a fleeting apparition of a woman in white. Her sorrowful eyes would meet theirs, a silent plea for justice and peace. Section 9. The room at the end of the hall. The concierge led us back to room 303. He opened the door. The room was empty, just as we had left it, but the air was different, heavy with sorrow, and a palpable sense of dread.
"That's where they found her body," he whispered, "hidden for years, until they finally tore down the wall."
We could feel it then, a surge of cold air, a feeling of being watched. Eliza's presence was undeniable. She was there, trapped in that room forever. Section 10. Facing the Unknown. The Grand Blackwood Hotel stood like a sentinel in the night, its dark silhouette broken only by the occasional flicker of a light. It was a place steeped in mystery and shadows, a place where the past seemed to linger in every corner. We left room 303, our hearts pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. The corridor stretched out before us, dimly lit and seemingly endless, each step echoing like a whisper of the hotel's haunted past. But we couldn't leave the Grand Blackwood Hotel, not yet. The air was thick with unanswered questions, and the hotel's sinister atmosphere seemed to beckon us deeper into its secrets. We had to know more. Our determination was fueled by a need to uncover the truth, to piece together the fragments of a story that had been buried for too long. We had to understand what had happened to Eliza. Her face, captured in an old photograph, seemed to hold 1,000 untold stories, each one more tragic than the last, and why her spirit was so restless. The ghostly figure we had seen was more than just a specter. It was a soul in torment, bound to the hotel by a past that refused to let go. We spent the rest of the night researching, poring over old newspapers, local archives, and any scrap of information we could find. The hours slipped away as we delved deeper into the hotel's history. each discovery leading us closer to the truth. Anything we could find about the history of the hotel and Eliza's tragic fate. The documents and photographs spread out before us painted a picture of a life cut short, a love story turned into a nightmare. We discovered that Eliza's husband had never been caught. His face, sketched in a police report, was a haunting reminder of the night that changed everything. He had disappeared after that night. The dark alleyways and empty streets seemed to whisper his name, a ghost of a man who had vanished without a trace. Some said he had fled the country. The map with a route marked out and a packed suitcase by the door suggested a hasty escape, a life left behind in the dead of night. Others believed that Eliza's spirit had claimed her revenge. The shadowy figure in the mirror, the ghostly presence in the room, all pointed to a darker, more chilling possibility, dragging him down with her. The image of a hand reaching out from the darkness, a ghost dragging a figure down, was a haunting reminder of the power of a restless spirit. The Grand Blackwood Hotel held many secrets, and we were determined to uncover them all. Section 11, Forever Haunted. We left the Grand Blackwood Hotel the next morning, changed, haunted by what we had experienced. We knew that we would never forget our night in room 303, and the tragic story of Eliza. The Grand Blackwood Hotel still stands, a testament to the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, a reminder that some stories never truly end. They live on, in the whispers of the wind and the shadows that dance in the night, forever haunting the halls of the Grand Blackwood Hotel.